marched from City Council building to Grand Circus Park, which is bisected by Woodward. It's near Campus Martius Park. It's kind of near Clifford and Adams Street. So at the beginning of their occupation, they occupied Detroit. When I say their occupation, I'm not from Detroit or anything. I just have a lot of connections there. I get real every day. I've been over there pretty often. It's a pretty big camp, but it's really impressive. At the beginning of their occupation, they applied for a 60-day permit to the Department of Parks and Recreation. They were denied, so they submitted for a 45-day permit because they thought maybe it was just the length of the permit, and they were granted a 30-day permit, which ended on Monday. And I'll get to what happened at the end. But while it was operating, there's about 100 people coming down every day. About 30 to 40% of those people are camping, and the numbers swell up on the weekend. What you have over there is a lot of people are in support and want to talk about democracy, but they do have day jobs or whatever. They don't have the time to be there every day, and the numbers haven't swung on the weekend, so there's been empty tents during the week. They've struck many committees: legal committee, direct action committee, media committee, medical committee. There's medical volunteers. There's a medical tent. If there's any kind of medical troubles, there's the first step right there. Outreach committee, racial inclusion and sensitivity, food and comfort, education committee, student and facilitation committee. They've been working in conjunction with Occupy the Hood. I don't know if you heard of Occupy the Hood. Started in New York City, and it was an effort to involve more people of color or people who live in urbanized areas. They've done a lot of direct action there in Detroit. I'm just going to go over some of the stuff chronologically here. Their first big, aside from the beginning march from the City County building, they marched to Bank of America, and they demanded stopping foreclosures and evictions. There was 250 people at that march, and they did it a second time. That was within the first week of occupying Detroit. And the second time they did it, it was 3 days later on a Friday. They had 500 people. And there's an interesting story with this. After the Bank of America march, there was a person who was about to have their house foreclosed, and a legal advisory team to the bank was aware of the protest and aware of that person's affiliation with the occupiers. And they advised the bank to not foreclose his house, and they'd give him an extension because they didn't want any further action against the bank. So he got to keep his house for now. March in support with Michigan welfare rights. Michigan welfare rights has been protesting since August about cuts to welfare. There's been huge cuts to many social programs and community programs in Michigan, an attempt to, I guess, stabilize the budget. This is including welfare, unemployment. Unemployment used to be, you had a job, you were unemployed, you used to be able to collect for 40 weeks, now it's down to 22, I think. And libraries were completely shut down in Troy after they spent $1 million fixing up the year before. It's kind of strange. Occupiers have been protesting with Michigan welfare rights every Thursday, and they go to the state building. There was the action against the bridge company. I'm sure some of you heard about it, at least. Some occupiers feel that the Manny Maroon represents kind of the disparity between the rich and the rest of the populace, so they set up by Bridge Watch Detroit between 200 and 300 people. They blocked traffic for 45 minutes. And there was people responding on the Windsor side too, ready for handing out literature in case people were like, "Why am I stopped at the bridge? Here's why. We feel this way." So the police were very accommodating. When they started marching up, the police came up and said, "How bad are you guys going to be? Are you guys going to be like really bad? Are you guys going to throw stuff?" Like, no, we're just going to block traffic for like 45 minutes. Okay, all right, we'll be over here. They launched a protest against cuts to public transportation with almost 50% unemployed in the core. Many people rely on public transport, so 200 people went to the City Council building. City Council has been, I should point out at this point, City Council has been dealing with the occupiers in a fair manner, considering that Occupy presence has been disturbing them quite often, but they're starting to develop a working relationship. This is an interesting one here. I'm almost at the end. this kind of relates to the stock exchange. There's a picket protest at the Guardian building, but 2 occupiers got arrested. These are some of the only arrests in Detroit. They disrupted an NPR interview with New York Stock Exchange, Euronext CEO Duncan Niederauer, I believe is how you pronounce his name. It's directly from Wall Street. So they basically came in and started asking him invasive questions and bringing up the Occupy issue so that they weren't going to be censored on the, that issue wasn't going to be censored on the NPR interview. And so one of the 2 got arrested. One of them it was his first time getting arrested. He got out that night in bail, but he just passed the bar exam, so the next day he got sworn in as a lawyer, so kind of ironic. Protest at Wayne State, further protests at Wayne State demanding student forgiveness, and some people burned their student loan statements. There was a rally against intolerance. I guess some pastors in Detroit organized an event in a football field downtown who made anti-gay or anti-lesbian statements, and they committed a counter-demonstration, the occupiers. You guys know about Scott Olson? Anyone don't know about Scott Olson? Don't know about Scott Olson? Okay, Scott Olson was an occupier in Oakland, and the police came down to sort of break up the occupation, and they discharged canisters of, I guess, tear gas, and they hit Scott Olson right in the head, gave him brain damage, and it could have been one of those things where it was a misfire or something. However, when he went down, other occupiers went to try to help him, and they shot another can of tear gas right to the occupiers where his body was. So they held a candlelight vigil in solidarity with Oakland and Occupy Detroit and marched to Hart Plaza for that. Scott Olson, I don't know if you know, but the follow-up, he has come to. I don't know if he's been speaking yet. I don't know if he can speak, but he will have brain damage. Solidarity, there's a solidarity march with Windsor. I've got the article right here. I wanted to center out, I'll just call him JL for now, but there's not any good quotes. But I got the article here if you want to come and take a look at it later. Basically, both sides went down the river with banners, and it was the first international display of, the first international Occupy demonstration on record. Every day at Occupy Detroit, they have concerts, 3 meals a day, which is interesting. Grand Circus Park used to be like a hobo hangout or a homeless person hangout, and they've still been there, and like they have a kind of no drug policy or whatever that Windsor has, or a lot of the encampments are happening across the world. But people were coming there before the occupiers and doing their thing anyway. So there's been a lot of tolerance and a lot of conflict resolution. A lot of the homeless people have actually been helping out in the kitchen or helping out with the library. They have a little library tent, and it's given them sort of like a purpose, just like the story you saw up there. So it's a way of life. The permit, back to the permit. They appeared at a Detroit City Council meeting at 10 a.m. on Monday. They wanted a 2-week extension. After discussion with the councils, they went to the clerk's office to file with Parks and Rec. And the application was filed by a nonprofit group called This Hood Is Ours, Inc. But in separate actions, 2 separate actions, both Mayor Dave Bain and the City Council this afternoon granted to Occupy Detroit a 1-week extension permit to Grand Circus Park with an end date of apparently Monday, November 21st. So plans have already been made to, like, they've already got another building that's location's undisclosed right now, but they're starting to move. But they wanted to go and extend it 2 weeks, but City Councilwoman Ms. Watson, she informed reps from Occupy Detroit that Mayor Bain's actions of yesterday circumvented the normal permit application process over which the City Council normally has jurisdiction.